Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Deanna and this is Deaphoalt. If you noticed, I'm wearing the same thing from the previous video. No, you didn't. I'm kidding. I'm just recording things all at once because I don't feel like doing it later, and I've already slacked off enough. Like you can clearly tell, I am behind schedule. Anyways, for today we are going to go over my little mini series for you guys on how to get into grad school. This is the #1 step, the foundation of how you will be getting into grad school. If you are trying to get into grad school, this is the video for you. If you're a recent graduate, if you are a graduate who graduated a long time ago, this is for you. So this process for me has been a very long and tedious journey, considering that I had to start last year in preparation for this. So for anyone who's planning on getting into grad school for design and art specifically, I don't know nothing about the other people, but you can apply some of the earlier tips for you guys. This is application phases and things, but for art and design students specifically, this is for you. For this video, we are going to go over step 1 of the 4-part series of how to get into grad school. And step 1 is, by the title you already know, PPA, which stands for prep, planning, and application. Okay, so I'm gonna be looking down a lot, so this is my notes. So we're gonna use her so I can keep my mind steady of what we're trying to do. If you're trying to get into graduate school for next year, this is for you. If you're trying to get in for this year, it's not gonna work out. Most likely will not work out because the applications are closed. They've been closed for a while, but I'm just gonna help you guys by detailing my journey into how I got into grad school and which one I decided to go into for next year. But for the first thing that I suggest anyone to do is to research the schools that you want to you're interested in getting into. So if you're like me, a design student, I would start by doing like a general Google search of design, art and design programs available, because there's not really a lot of master's programs that have design in them. So essentially there's plenty of studio art majors, but design is kind of annoyingly difficult to find. But especially for a good program. So that's the main thing that I would tell you guys to do first. Go ahead and look through to see which schools you're interested in getting into. And then in that point of researching the schools, the main point of thing that you're looking for really is what the program offers, the tuition, obviously, professors and the students, the student life, things like that, the surrounding areas, and whatever you deem is important to you. So for each school, all the portfolios are not the same. So obviously you're gonna have to look into that to see which one you want to take your time into do. I would suggest don't waste your time doing an application for a school that you are just like not serious about. Don't waste your time, because at that point you're 1, wasting money if you don't do the fee waiver, and 2, you're putting work into something that you're most likely not going to go into. Listen, grad school applications and undergrad applications are not the same. They are not the same. You don't want to waste your time with grad school applications on something like just in case, like a backup school. I personally think, like, if you are confident in your work and if you made your work in either undergrad or in that year break, you made it well versed and purposeful, you don't have to spend your time applying to 20 plus schools. That's excessive. Like, that's too much. For the initial thing that you guys definitely need to do, I wouldn't even say should, you need to do is create a timeline within Excel of the deadlines and dates of when things are due and what you need to get them, when you need to get them done. For mine, I'll show you guys an example of the Excel sheet. I have about 3 different sections. We'll go over the other ones later, but for this main one, it has all the schools that I applied to and their specific categories of what's important to me, like their tuition, their due date, their application fee, the fee waiver request, logins, things like that. Documented all of it, so I knew when I would be able to when I would be able to apply for it, what the requirements were for it, and things like that. This is extremely important just to keep you on track, especially if you're working and you're trying to get things done in a timely manner. But for me personally, the schools that I looked into applying for had to fit certain qualities of what I wanted. The main thing that I looked for was location, accessibility of like travel, since I would not have a car while I was over there. 2, job security, housing, what else was there? And I think that was it for the schools. School specifically, that was the initial factors that I looked into when I was trying to find a school. Next would be faculty and the design program itself. So the schools that I initially wanted to apply to versus the ones I actually applied to were very different. I first wanted to apply to at least 10, and then I brought it down to 7, and then I brought it down to 6. The 6 schools that I applied to was the University of Florida, Cal Arts, CCA, SIAC, MCAD, and University of Texas. Those are the 6 schools that I applied to. For those 7 schools, one I previously already applied to, which was Florida Atlantic University. No, I graduated from it, was University of Florida. That one I previously applied to in last year, 2023. I was waitlisted for that year, and they told me to reapply because they didn't have any space. But that's fine. So I added it to the list again since I already did all the work and they've already interviewed me. The next thing I would suggest for you guys to do, especially if you are a recent grad, keep in contact with your professors, professional people in the workforce, if you're in like a design agency right now that you're working in, that you got out of grad school, especially if you're taking that year break. Keep in contact with them, okay? Why do I say this? They are your references. For planning your submissions, you will need to be able to have at least 2 people that are your reference. The schools need someone that they can contact or have like the letter of reference, so that they can see that you are adequate enough to be in their school. So those people, whether it be professional and or design, you would need one of both or 2 of design. They will not, I would say they would prefer it to be 1 of each or 2 design. I wouldn't say 2 professional. That's not gonna work out. You're going to art school or art school or a design program. You're gonna need someone with a design background to help you out. So make sure you keep in contact with your professors, especially the ones that you liked and worked with the past. I personally had a lot of teachers that I would often take multiple classes of. For me, I personally always had like professors that I often had throughout my time at FAU. I had my printmaking professor that I always had. Like I took one almost every single semester. 1, I just enjoy printmaking, and 2, obviously that would help me in the future in being a #1 contact of reach of if anything I needed professionally help with. And then my other design professor that I had, she was my BFA senior seminar professor for that time, and I think I took 2 other classes with her. So And then I was also with I was the club president that she was in charge of, so obviously I had people that were able to back me up. So those people and connections that you have, also within your job too. I worked on campus as an RA. Those individuals, they're great resources to be of help for you guys. Those people can be both friends and professional references for you guys. So don't throw away opportunities so easily. So with those references and connections that you have, remember to ask for the letter of recommendation as early as possible. The sooner you do it, the sooner you let them know, the more likely they're going to say yes. And if possible, visit them in their classroom to ask them. If you're still on campus, ask them, hey, do you think you can be my letter of recommendation? They have a hard time saying no to your face, so it's better to just do it then while you're still on campus, or if you can, visit them. Me personally, I can't because I don't have a car, so I just emailed or texted because I have one of their phone numbers, or two. I have their phone number, so it was easier for me to contact who I needed to reference. So make sure you're making connections and you're contacting the people you want as your referrals early so that they're aware. So create a little list of when the deadlines are coming up and then send it over, and then just send your letters as you're working on your portfolio, your applications. For the main talking points that I've been blabbing on about, just make sure you're planning everything just for your submission specifically, especially since a lot of submissions are early in the winter. Early in the new year. I don't know why I said winter for. Like some are in December. So you would have to plan accordingly so that you know which ones you should focus on first, especially if it's like a top choice school. Especially if there's one like due in December, do those first. Just do those first. And then the ones later on in January and February, they can wait a little bit, but the material that you submitted in the previous December application, January application, you could always reuse, reduce, and recycle it because they're not gonna know. And then the other main thing for this part one that I wanted to talk about was the letter of intent. The letter of intent is the main driving force of your application. That lets the applicant, the school know that what you are trying to achieve while studying at that school is what they would like to endorse and sponsor. So if your letter of intent is not the best, just know you're not getting it. I'm just gonna tell you that. Your letter of intent, it tells them exactly what they are getting into. So if your letter of intent is just like really basic and mundane, they're not gonna care. For the main structure of the letter of intent, I used, let me grab it actually real quick. So if you're going into a graphic design graduate program, sometimes for the most part, they want it to be designed, the letter, not as a standard basic thing. They want it to have your sort of branding identity, like who you are as a designer. This is the one I had at the time, the black and white theme that I had. It's changed now. If you see my portfolio, completely different. I use my favorite color. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place, but anyways, for the letter of intent, obviously if you want to know the structure of the letter, Google it. Now for the interior of the letter, I would say obviously a lot of them will have like specific requirements for their letters of what they want you to actually talk about, but for the most part they're all the same. they're all the same. Sometimes they have like a little questionnaire at the top, or like before you start your, before you submit this, or like questions that they want to ask you. You can use the stuff in your letter in those questions. It's about you. Just use what is easier for you, so you don't have to take too much time in doing something. Okay, yeah, so for this, for the, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So for the first paragraph, I talked about my background and then my interest in the first 2 sentences. And then right after that, I spoke about how X school will be able to help me to further push and explore these interests. And then right after that, I talk about how my skill will be able to help me to build further out in the future. And the 2 main topics that I want to focus on in my work. Topics have to be so specific. You have to be specific. Although I wasn't really that specific, it's better to be specific. Like ultra specific. But if you don't want to go too specific, that's fine. Just like speak on something that you would like enjoy, or what you mainly talk about. For me, I spoke about racial and gender inequalities. That was my 2 main things that I wanted to talk about and address. Not super specific, but it was good enough for me because I explained more so of, I did a different route of more so not the niche topic, but the topic in accordance to the material or the process of what I wanted to do. The next paragraph, I talked about my design style and a specific artwork, a specific project that I did, 2 of them, which was my aesthetic and then the You Can't Sit With Us project that I did. One was heavily a design project that had like from start to finish. I did everything to my I did everything on my own, from prototyping to the paper design, so paper sketches. And then the other one was a photography project that I created a photo book with it, a zine, to showcase the work in a little poem that I made. For that paragraph, I really spoke on how I gain inspiration, on how I design, really, where my interests lie, or how I function as a designer. In that same one, I also spoke on what elements I enjoy using. Me, I like to do a mixture of both digital design and hand-drawn elements, handmade elements, anything really. So like printmaking, design, cyanotype, which is what I'm now getting into, and design, things like that. It's like physical materials combined with design that will make it interesting and more dynamic than just a simple design, digital design. Moving on to the 3rd paragraph, I spoke on my background again, of like what I've done while I was in university as an undergrad, just some clubs that I was in, and then my skills that I know how to do. So printmaking, Adobe Suite, and then things like that. Oh, I know why that's kind of like awkward. It's sort of awkward. I added that previous paragraph in to the letter because I wanted to add some more context of me into this letter. So I added that previous paragraph of my projects and my design aspect into that one paragraph right there. And the next paragraph, the 4th one, is, I would argue, is the most important. The second, yeah, one of the important ones. So 1 and 2, your purpose of going and what makes you interested in the school. So that's what the 4th paragraph is. The 4th one is going to strictly and only talk about 2, not 1, 2 professors that you're interested to going into. The purpose of this paragraph lets them know that you did your research in why you wanted to go to the school. Look at the designs program or the studio art programs website to see what they are looking for. Look at their professors, see who you are interested, who closely aligns to what you're trying to create as a designer, what you're trying to build as a designer. And then once you find the two professors that you're interested in, that's when you're gonna look into those professors. I know a lot of research. This first step is critical in research. You have to look up everything. The professors that you're looking into, go ahead and search them up on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter if you don't want them to see that you're looking at them. Look them up. Look them up. Let them know that you're interested, okay? That's the only way to get noticed. Look them up on LinkedIn. Look what they do. If they have their portfolio website available, look that up. Look at their interests. That is how you build a connection with these professors. You're trying to build a connection to people who don't know you. Okay, you have to look at what they do. So I'll give you an example for the one I did for Cal Arts, the quick sentence that I did for one of the professors. Okay, right here. So then the one professor that I chose, Professor Worthington, has extensive knowledge of understanding the ever-changing design community. His works, Joseph Monet and Fred Wilson, are reminiscent of Mike McQuaid, whose work I love. Like myself, I enjoy incorporating atypical techniques that would diversify my designs. Considering that Worthington is an experienced traveler who has seen the world's beauty, I am happy to know that he has experience in the international design space. And then at the end I put, continuing my education with Cal Arts will allow me to explore design as a socially inclusive inclusive route that my underground studies did not focus on. So that was one section of the letter that I wrote. For the professors, I built with that one specifically. I showed that I obviously looked him up and saw his work, and that I was interested in what he does as a designer, and just I tried to build connection with him. I saw that his design resembled Mike McQuaid, which is someone that I do follow and enjoyed his work. He's like a collage artist, like a digital collagist. I gave 2 main points of 1, I enjoyed his work, and 2, that I liked that he was an international travel designer. His work has been seen in different spaces. Those 2 main points for that one person. That lets them know that 1, you looked at our professors. 2, you are interested in him as a person, and you would like to study under him. In master's degree programs, you are mostly studying under people, so you have to be cognizant to know what you have to be intentional with your letters. The letters, like I said, the most important, I feel like it's the most important aspect of design, of the application. If this is off, they do not care about you. Okay, doesn't matter if your grades are on tier, top tier. If your letter doesn't speak to the school does not care. Oh, so for the last paragraph, it is just like a conclusion to everything I said. Just spoke about the 2 main topics I wanted to do, and then how I want to present those. So I specifically wanted to talk about sustainability, racial and gender inequality, while incorporating aspects of printmaking, cyanotype into my designs that would help present me as a designer to international communities. So really, for this letter, I would say I wrote it 1 time and then all the other times the only paragraph I changed was that 4th paragraph, because it's obviously the one with the professor's name. Another thing I wanted to note is the importance of your portfolio. I know I was talking about how the letter of intent is important and essential, but in combination to that, so is your portfolio. For me personally, as a design student in undergrad, I always made sure to design as if I was putting it in my forever portfolio. It was gonna be for grad school. Every single design, it was for grad school. So when you're in your undergrad years, especially if you're about to graduate, if you feel like your work isn't on par, now is the time to redo it, fix it up. Take that summer, the 2 months, fix them, get it done, get the nicks and crannies out, so that when you're ready to put it in your portfolio, you're good. You don't have to rework anything. I think for only one application, I added a specific project, like two. I did 2 additional projects just so I can fill the quota of the requirements, and I ended up liking like 2 of them more than the ones I had previously, so I used them as my main ones. That's another thing. A lot of portfolios require different number of things. Some require 25, some require 10, some require 15, and some require 8. It's just up to the school. Depending on the number, put your best work forward. If it's 8, only 100% work that you're confident in. Nothing else. Don't put any low ballers. If you feel like it's a low baller, then it's probably a low baller. But you never know. Design is subjective. With your portfolio, especially as an undergrad, or if you're in your between years of schooling, or even if you're later, you are doing intentional design work. Everything is with intention. They want to, for grad school is what I think, at least, or whatever, they want someone who's not perfect. They don't want someone who's good. They want someone who's not perfect. They want someone who they can help, essentially. That's why you're going to school in the first place. They want to be able to see that you're willing to learn and you are interested in learning. So with your design work, even if you think it's not on par, if you see that you love it and it's a passion project and it's a representation of who you are as a designer and what you want to continue doing, put it in. Put it in. Don't put too many though. Just put it in. At least one passion project is fine. For me, that passion project for me, I think it was like 2 of them. The rest were good, because obviously, like I said earlier, I tried. I'ma try hard. For that passion project for me was definitely I think, was it the cyanotype one? Because I have no regrets when I design, because I did everything with intention. I did what I wanted to do. I always do. I always made sure to have a consistent theme in my design, because like I said in my letter, I like to do things with my hands. So if I always incorporated like hand-drawn elements in my design, or something hand done, so I can have a sense of, yeah, this is part of this couldn't be completely done on computer because I drew it. So make sure you're putting in those little details of your preference and intentionality of what you're trying to do. Especially if you're like a designer who hasn't been in school in a while, it's better to not always put corporate work. They don't care. I mean, you can put some, you can put a few, but you will need to put like some of those passion projects of what you're interested in doing, so that they are interested and they want to continue teaching you to help assist you in your journey as a graduate student. That's the whole point of grad school, to continue learning, to go further than what you were as an undergrad. As me as an undergrad, I personally only saw them as teaching me the basics, nothing else. The only times I was able to do or express my creativity was when I was taking my studio art classes, which is why I took them a lot. I took printmaking all the time so I can have a break from the stuffiness of design. And I hope that my master's program will be able to help me build on that as a designer and create some intentional work in the topics that I'm interested in. Make sure that you are thinking as if you are going into grad school, like you are putting this into your application for grad school. So when you are designing for these projects, or when you're creating design for your undergrad projects, make sure you put your effort in. Like, don't waste your time putting in something like, oh, I won't need this anyways. This is just whatever project. You're probably gonna need it. You're probably gonna need it. So don't waste your time. And even with jobs, you'll need those works to show of what you're doing or what you've done. So don't think of it as a waste of time. Design like it's the end of the world is what I'm essentially trying to say. But yeah, for those portfolio projects, I would suggest start doing them as early as you can, so that when you reach December, January, February, you're not rushing to get things done. Because listen, those application due dates come quickly. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is the end of the video of our series on how to get into grad school. Step 1, PPA. Thank you guys so much for watching. Look out for the next video. I will post the next step on how to get into grad school next month, because we're on my 4 videos a month only and I'm already behind. So the next video will not be the next step, it'll be something else. So, but for this first step, this should really cover at least the good portion, the first part of how to get into grad school, like the main steps up to application. Prep, planning, applications. There should be no excuses. Get those applications done on time, okay? If you want to go to grad school, you have to push yourself and be diligent enough to get things done on time. Alrighty. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Look out for the next video. Bye. What is this called? You can see her. Handy dandy. Might have done that backwards. PPA. I feel like I'm just looking here and not at the camera. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at myself. Wait, let me read this. I kind of don't remember. Blah, 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 blah. I forgot this only records up to 30 minutes. I keep forgetting this thing. This video is going to be very annoying to edit because I spoke in very like that. This is going to be annoying because I kept going back and forth. Part of me feels so bad, but ooh, not that bad. PPA, 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 PPA. This is so ADHD inducing. Relax. Focus. Part of me